Hello, folks. We overcame some last-minute technical issues, so hopefully I look normal to you on the other side of the camera. But if not, let us know right away. Well, welcome to I believe is our fourth live town hall, virtual town hall, and this time we'll focus on food access in the time of the COVID pandemic. These are pretty challenging times, and the actions taken to control the spread of the virus have brought to light some weaknesses in inherent in the systems that we rely on for our basic needs. I mentioned an earlier one, healthcare is certainly one of those where when a person's healthcare is tied to where they work, and then when suddenly so many thousands of people are without work and lose access to healthcare, that is a issue that we really need to address. It exposes a flaw in the system that is normally concerned at a very individual level, but now it's community wide, and it needs to be looked at and addressed. And secondly, and what we're talking about today is the food system. We have a food system built largely nationwide on specialization and efficiency to reduce cost. A lot of our food goes through very centralized channels and out to the distribution markets. But when that fails, those centralized systems have trouble adapting to changes in market, changes in distribution channels, and it's very apparent right now. You have thousands of people in lines at food banks and farmers plowing under their crops. So the number of people that need food hasn't changed, but it's a disruption in the distribution channels. And when schools, restaurants, offices, institutions shut down, all those places where people would normally access food are now gone, and the channels that bring food to those places have they have no alternative. There's nothing in place for them to change the way things are done. So we need to figure that out. How do we get food from where it is into the hands of people who need it? And in the very short term, these are exactly the types of issues that government, with its vast access to resources, is best positioned to do. I mean, that is the entity that can mobilize its forces to get food from where it is, by whatever means, and into the hands of the people who need it. So, if we take on the mantle of a wartime command, we need to be able to organize and make sure that we can get that done. You can't claim that's not the responsibility of the government not to organize those efforts needed to fight the war. Every general will tell you the supply line is the most important part of any battle. So we need to figure that out and get that done. At the local level, we're pretty fortunate in rural areas that we have a lot of food producers out here who are engaged in that direct farm to consumer channel, and they're trying to work out how to continue that channel and expand it really on very short notice, and being very innovative and trying to keep social distancing, so trying to be safe but still kind of change that immediate structure. And that for some farms, and mainly in smaller farms, that even the dairy farms are having issues. They're dumping milk because their channels have changed. Milk that used to go into schools, institutions, restaurants, that channel disappeared overnight, and to be able to retool and reorganize the supply chain quickly to get it into the other places where it's needed is a real challenge. And in the wake of this pandemic, we need to take a look at how we in this state can support and incentivize a highly diversified regional food system with processing and distribution capacity, which is independent of the large national centralized specialized food systems. So it can be adaptive and nimble, because things happen all the time. That there's always going to be a crisis and impacts on the local food system, and if you're able to adjust to that quickly, that's how we help serve the citizens of the state. So I want to talk about access to food. What's out there now. As I said, there's a lot of very direct farm to consumer infrastructure that's there now, particularly so one example is farmers markets, and farms and food delivery is considered an essential service. So they are still functioning, but in order to keep folks safe, the general guidelines are to keep the customers separated from the food, either directly at the market with a table in between the customer and the produce, or a variety of ways, trying not to commingle individual orders. So the nice thing about farmers markets is that food is pretty much controlled from the field to the customer's hands. Whereas when you go into a supermarket, there's a lot of steps in between there. You don't really, you don't have a good control of. Anyway, so farmers markets, what are they doing to address this? So in the area, we have a couple that are winter farmers market, the Cooperstown Farmers Market. They're open every Saturday, 10 to 2, and they've set up a pre-order system for those who prefer curbside pickup. Orders need to be placed Wednesday at 2 o'clock, and we will post this information on Facebook and websites, so you don't have to remember it all. And I'm reading it because I can't remember it all. So the Oneonta Farmers Market is also open every Saturday, 9 to 12, in the Main Street Walkway. And they are encouraging pre-order with their vendors, and that contact information is available on their website. The Norwich Farmers Market, run by Lamb's Quarters Organic Farm, they will deliver at no charge if you are shut in and need any other shopping done for you. They will help. Just have to you need to contact them. You do not need to purchase from their vendors for this service. So they're trying to help folks who can't have access to food right now. Their volunteers want to help during this crisis. So I'm going to give you a phone number right now, but it will be posted. So it's 607-334-4928. Or you can email Norwich Farmers Market at frontier.com. And there's a lot. They have a lot going on. I'll read through the list. They're currently selling Sova farm eggs and chicken, Quarry Brook farm ground beef and bratwurst, Lamb's Quarter Farm lamb stew meat and ground goat, Mash Taylor's raw honey, Cook's maple syrup. Anyway, so there you go, a little plug for the for the Norwich Farmers Market folks. Kingston Farmers Market in the county courthouse parking lot every Saturday, or every other Saturday. Every other Saturday. The next one is April 25th. You need to sign up for a 20-minute shopping slot between 10 and 12, or between 10 and 2. 10 to 10:40 is reserved for those folks at higher risk. So that'll be sorted out on their end. But you need to pre-order from them at you go to their website, and they also have a Facebook page, so that can be handled there. And I'm sure there are a number of other farmers markets operating in the area. It's hard to track them all down, but I'm sure any farmers market that's trying to figure out how to operate and keep folks safe and keep moving, that'll be on their websites. So whatever farmers markets you normally shop at, or that are in the area, you should look them up and see what's going on. So there are also a lot of farm stands in the area that are trying to figure out how to continue to work. And I think many of them, as we are on our farm, are looking for pre-orders. So the way we're doing it is, you order by, I think, Thursday night, 5 o'clock, and then there's a window, 10 to 2 on Saturday, where you come by and you pick up your order. And the order is brought to you at the door, because what we're trying to do is limit customers in the stores and among the produce. So try to make it a very safe transaction for everyone, and a way to access good, fresh produce, fresh food. So I think there are many farm stands trying to figure out how to make that work as well. There are also farms and farm stands and CSAs working on home deliveries. I think Berrybrook and Hamden in Delaware County will deliver for a small fee. And again, on the website, these emails or websites will be posted. Exeter Park in West Winfield. They're delivered to some areas, no charge, and they also have a CSA that would deliver. So you need to call your folks that follow them on Facebook, Twitter, because not every farm has a website. I found a lot of them just operate off Facebook, so find out what's going on there. I know that Cornell Cooperative Extension in Schoharie and Otsego County is setting up a virtual online farmers market where the farmers can list the products they have and the prices, because customers order them and pay for them right online, and one day a week they're delivered to specific drop sites. The farmers deliver it in the morning and the customers can pick it up in the afternoon. So that is going out from Extension in Schoharie and Otsego County, and is actually a platform that can be used anywhere, so it could expand out quite easily from there. So here's, I suppose, interesting, but greenhouse nurseries, flower greenhouses are not considered essential. So those folks that are just producing flowers and we're coming into their main season, they're considered a non-essential business, so they're not really open. Hart Farm Flowers in Middlefield is doing a bouquet CSA. So I think you can order flowers and they will deliver them to you. And I think that's a way to make sure that these businesses can also survive this shutdown, and so that when we come through the other side and we want flowers, they are going to be there to provide them for us. So give that some thought. Let it's something we can do to help those folks. And who doesn't want some flowers right now? So I think it's not a bad way to spend a few dollars to help keep those businesses in business and help brighten our lives just a little bit. This is also a good time to join CSAs. They're just getting up and operating as we're coming into the produce season. So now is the time to join, so that they can really have a good understanding of how much they need to source from area farms. They can probably plan on a normal 10 or 15% increase in customer demand, but if they suddenly have, a 50 or 100% increase in customers, they're going to need to set up those resources with the farms that are supplying product for them. So the sooner you can contact them, let them know you're interested in joining those CSAs, the better prepared they will be to going into the season to have that product available to everyone. Because we don't know how quickly we'll be returning to normal operations, and this is a way that you can be assured that you will be getting delivery each week of fresh produce. One of the CSAs that will be operating, I think, the end of this month is 607 CSA, and they will be serving residents of Delaware, Otsego, and Schoharie counties. In light of the COVID-19, they're going to launch a local home delivery service. For the next few weeks while we are in this lockdown to help people. That's wrong, but it says local deliveries begin April 1st. Well, maybe they did begin April 1st, but they'll continue on through June, and then you just kind of see how things roll from there. And for that, you order online Thursday evening for delivery the following Wednesday. For them, the regular CSA sign-ups are still open, and they're encouraged to sign up for those. And other CSAs are just getting started. I know there are a number of them around the area, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot more folks gearing up to follow that model. So it's important to, as they say, keep checking websites and see what's going on in your area. And as I say, we will put these resource notes and websites and phone numbers on our Facebook page and website, so you folks can access them anytime. Now, another important aspect of this is, if you are now suddenly unemployed, the food stamp program, the SNAP program, is available to folks who qualify for that program. Now, it's a federally run program, so there's the federal website that talks about eligibility and the program itself, but the program is run through the state level. So fortunately, here in New York, we have a very robust SNAP program, and you can apply online. It takes about an hour, they say. That's what the website says, average time to apply. And there's a step-by-step process on the New York website. You'll need several documents, recent pay stubs, list of household resources, current rent, mortgage statement, property tax bill, homeowner's insurance bill, and a social security card. So you need to have those documents in order or with you when you go to apply. And then, as I say, you can apply online, and it takes about an hour. But the SNAP program is there to help people, specifically through situations like this. And I know it's a common misperception that that food stamp program is for people who are just really on welfare or destitute. But the reality is, most people accessing that program do work. They do have jobs. It's just that their bills are just the normal cost of living, house mortgages, rents, child care. There's normal costs that just make it difficult to afford the amount of food and nutrition they need each month. So this program is there. It's to support it. It's supplemental nutrition. It's there to help people access the food that they need to keep going. And in the summertime, there are farmers market nutrition program coupons that some SNAP recipients are qualify for, and those help extend those dollars into that very good, nutritious food, fresh food you can get at farmers markets. One caveat though, you cannot use those SNAP benefits, and actually the way you purchase with that is through something called electronic benefits transfer. It's like a small credit card. You cannot use that online at this point, so any of these online purchase programs, you can't use those SNAP for that. It's called an EBT card. You can't use it for that. And then, we have there are a large number of food pantries all throughout the area. Some counties are very organized into one food pantry system. I encourage you to go onto your county websites and see what resources are available for you there. Hang on just a minute. Cindy?
Yes?
The dogs are a bit loud. So if any of you are wondering what's going on up there, we're trying to keep the dogs from knocking over the camera, for one thing. So food pantries, and so a lot of the food pantries in the different counties are served. A lot of their product comes from regional food banks, and in the 51st district there are three main ones. The Food Bank of Central New York in Syracuse serves Cayuga, Chemung, and Cortland counties. And the Regional Food Bank of Northeast New York serves Delaware, Otsego, Schoharie, and Ulster counties. And I mentioned, the Catholic Charities Food Bank in the Southern Tier serves Tompkins County. And those, we have a very organized food bank system in New York State. So again, we're fortunate they're very adept and adaptive at meeting crisis needs, but they are really overwhelmed now, so they can certainly use our support. But also it's important everyone know that that system is there and is in place to help serve people in need in New York State. I also want to put in a plug for the farmers in New York State, and I've mentioned this before, but I think it's important for people to remember and keep repeating that the farmers in New York State donate more produce to the food bank system than farmers in any other state. It's a tribute to the character of the farm community here in New York State, but also is a great example of how much codependency there is on urban areas depending on the farms in New York State to provide that nutritious resource for the resource of nutrition for the folks in need in both urban and rural areas. So we're all in this together, and it's important that we all figure out how to work together and to meet each other's needs. We need each other for different things, but we can't do this all alone. So it's important that we make sure that we keep that in mind as we move through this. Things are leveling off, at least in New York State, but it's important that that's only because we've been taking extraordinary measures to stay safe, to stay physically apart from each other, and be very diligent when we go to stores or anywhere. Be aware of how virus can spread, contamination on different surfaces, wearing face mask, but don't touch your face mask. one of the problem with the face mask is people keep touching it and readjusting it, which kind of defeats the purpose. And the mask is really there to protect other people from you. It kind of like tamped down the what they call amortization of the virus through sneezing or just breathing or whatever. So the face masks aren't going to protect you so much, but it protects everyone around you. Same thing, that's why we are all, being asked to stay home. And as Governor Cuomo said, who are you staying home for? That there are people, very vulnerable to this virus who won't recover from it. So it's important and incumbent on all of us to do the best we can to make sure that we can't be sure that we're not carriers of the virus, because we don't so we all need to behave as if we are, and as everything we come into contact is potentially has the virus on it. So we just need to be very careful and stay diligent. But you can see, the efforts worked in China, where they're coming, things are coming back online. In New York, they're flattening, as the governor says, at horrendous levels, but at least, it's flattening out. So at least here, we're doing what we need to do to get through this. So I hope we continue to do that. And continue to reach out electronically or however other way we can to talk to our friends and our neighbors and kind of keep going that way. So I don't know if we have any. I have one question that came in online. I don't know if there are any others, but certainly welcome folks to write in questions, and I'll do my best to answer them or let you know if I don't have the answer. So this is from Anthony in Cooperstown. I retired after spending 35 years acquiring and administering rural housing assistance throughout Otsego County. It was always a struggle of rural against urban and metropolitan area in Albany for necessary support. Rural housing issues are not informed to the needs of small cities such as Oneonta and other concentrated populations in the district. Who will you consult to inform your knowledge and insight and to direct your efforts to help with the neglected necessities of the thousands of square miles of rural residences throughout the counties you will represent? So that's a question to me. Who will I consult with to inform my actions on that? So thank you, Anthony. And it is an important issue and one that is not visible to most people. I earlier this year attended a conference on rural poverty for Otsego and Delaware County. That was held at the in Oneonta. So so to answer your question, I think one of the important things that needs to occur in Albany with all policymakers is whenever confronted with the issue, you get everyone around the table who understands that issue and has the knowledge that you need to be informed and to make decisions and address all the facets of a problem. Too often we rush forward with a solution, or maybe not even rush, but try to move forward with a solution without actually getting everyone to the table who has that knowledge and understanding the information that's needed to create an effective solution. So I would certainly reach out to folks like you, and I know there are countless folks who are there are other organizations, entities that have researched these issues. So they need to be data-driven decisions and really understand what the problem is. I've often said agreeing on the problem is almost harder than agreeing on a path forward, because everyone's interpretation of what the problem actually is tends to be different. So once we can get people to focus on identifying and agreeing on what the problem is, then you can move forward with trying to address it. So I guess maybe one more. Wilson, an NBC poll found 3/4 of millennials want third-party representation. Do you support? Do you support Governor Cuomo's plan to squash third-party competition? I think, it's no. I mean, I think people have a right to be represented by who they want to represent them. I know it's a complex issue, but perhaps the third parties are gain access to the ballot needs to be looked at. But why would we want to limit someone's representation choices? It's like, limiting access to the ballot box. We want to help people vote. We want to help people choose their representatives, not inhibit those choices. So I think it's something that we want to make sure that in this country people have a right to the representation that they choose. How would you lead New York State to be prepared for another pandemic? What would you do differently? Well, first of all, I think New York is doing a very good job of handling a situation that came upon them with the resources that they had at hand, that we have at hand. It's been, I think, it's been very innovative solutions to try to make sure that those doctors and nurses trying to take care of all the patients have the resources they need, and trying to work out ways to make this happen. And the difficulty in a lot of cases is that those resources are not available to them, and the state is trying to purchase as many supplies as they can, but that's not really the position we should be in. We should be we don't want states competing with each other for the supplies that everyone is going to need. What would I do differently? And I think I mentioned that earlier. On the realm of food systems, we need to encourage a much more diverse food system. Diversify small-scale, mid-scale processing. Develop distribution channels that are flexible and can move product from where it's in abundance to where it's needed, and not necessarily the fact that they have more here, but do they have the right type there? Over the course of a year, you will have farms that have much more summer squash than they need, and there are other distribution channels that are looking for food to serve the low income folks who need access to fresh produce. So if we had a system to get that product over there, and then when you're there, you're going to have folks that need some of their product frozen to make it shelf stable, and they can carry that to another food bank facility that actually has access to quick freezing processing capacity. So I think we need to work on developing a system that can communicate well within itself and within all its members to move product smartly and efficiently from one area, from where from production to where it's needed to processing and back out into the system. Because stabilizing fresh produce, and when I say that, processing in some way, preferably minimally with quick freezing or something, so that because we have a very short production season in the Northeast, so we can produce a lot, but being able to freeze it or process it in some way so that it was available all year long will help the entire food system. Maya, I think it's Maya. Due to COVID, how has your campaign been affected, if at all? Well, I would not be doing these probably, although maybe in the future they'll decide this is not a bad way to campaign, to reach folks. It certainly is less wear on the tires, but I like to meet face-to-face with people. I think that's what I really miss and what I was really looking forward to in the campaign is getting out and meeting with the folks across this district. There are, I think, about 120,000 people who vote regularly in this district, and I'd like to get out and meet just as many of those folks as I can and talk to them, to listen to them, and so that they can get to know me and make a good informed decision about who they want to represent them. And that is something that's, I think, really better achieved face to face. I like to see people, meet people. Apparently won't be shaking hands for the duration of the campaign. But I think what we're trying to do here, trying to reach out to folks, let them get to know me a little bit over the camera is one of the big changes we've been confronted with, and I hope it's working. I don't know how well I come across this way on live or virtual town halls, but we're going to do the best we can. We relying more on posting things on websites and Facebooks and resources and trying to find ways to reach out to people in other ways, but certainly do miss that personal. What do you feel like is the most important idea you want to bring to New York State Legislature? Well, there are a couple, really. I mentioned before, we really need to address our healthcare system so that everyone has access to affordable, high-quality health care. And we also need to really build up our rural economies and our rural communities. And I think one of the most effective ways to do that is to create a tax system statewide that really makes sense, that is equitable. Right now, so much of state is dependent on the property tax system, which really has no relationship to what you can afford to pay in taxes. Not like an income tax, which is directly based on what you earn. But the important thing is to have it not just on paycheck income, but also on all like what they call unearned income, interest and stock trades and stock buyback dividends and whatever all that stuff is that allows very wealthy people to avoid paying the same rate in taxes that you do in your paycheck, or that a small business does on the income through their cash register. So we need a system that addresses that, which will relieve the burden on property taxes, which is one of the things that really holds down a lot of businesses and activity in rural upstate New York. When we try to attract businesses to this area, the first thing we do is give them a break on property taxes. Well, this clearly highlights the fact that is the problem. So we need a tax system that's fair and equitable, so everyone is paying what they can afford to pay. And we know that right now there are very wealthy people who can afford to pay a lot more. Warren Buffett says that all the time, like he's paying a higher, or his secretary pays a higher tax rate than he does, simply because the way his income is earned. So we need to fix that so that we can make sure that we all have a fair shake at getting ahead and help encourage businesses to not only start here but expand and grow and stay here. Let's work on the let's help the businesses that are here and our resources trying to entice new businesses in. We have a lot of folks here that can certainly benefit from things we can do to encourage business to be here. And homeowners. It's expensive to own homes here in this state, so a lot of that is property tax. Again, the more we can do to shift that, and you may never shift completely away from property tax, but let's make it a fair representation of what you can afford to pay. You can tie it to those to your income. Okay, this is from Phoebe. Is this all one question?
All one question.
Okay. COVID-19 has shown many consumers why local food matters. Given that global supply chains have been interrupted, some local farms claim that sales have gone up. What are your thoughts on how we can maintain these positive consumer behaviors so that people will continue to buy local farm fresh food? So, yes, and kind of what I said earlier, that in this rural area we have we're fortunate in that we are very close to the farms that are producing the food, and now that is a very desirable way for folks to to acquire their food. So I think within this local area, I think that will really kind of it'll perpetuate itself going forward. What we really need to focus on is building a regional food shed, in New York and New England area, with again the mid-scale processing and the distribution channels that can help get food from this very productive land. And we have one thing we have here is water. It's raining now, sometimes too much water, but there's so much of the food produced in this country relies on stored water from irrigation and snow melt and aquifers that are going to be depleted, and climate change will have a tremendous impact on those. But in the Northeast, we have an excellent climate for this, for producing food. We need a better way to aggregate that so that we can compete on against all the food that comes in from other areas. And I think we see clearly now that those large distribution chains from one central location in California trying to get that product all the way over here, that's interrupted. The workforce required to make that system work is being interrupted, and there are going to be some pretty major challenges in the normal food supply system. So we need to incentivize and support building out that small-scale, mid-level, mid-range processing and handling facilities, and also a distribution network that can talk to each other. We certainly have the technical capacity to do that. We just need to be willing to invest the resources to make that happen. Good, thank you, because I was getting a little hoarse. So I think that's it. We have not scheduled the next virtual town hall yet. I think we have decided after these first four, we held them at different times, different days of the week. We'll probably just set one specific day. And if there are things you would like us to discuss on those town halls or focus on a particular topic, please be sure to send us that. I will continue to do my pancake breakfast on Sunday mornings, and those are to raise money for volunteer organizations, whatever they are. Those are really non-campaign events, but I want to. It's just a way that I can help, bring attention to the fact that, there are lots of folks, volunteers, who support our communities that are also struggling. They're not being able to do the normal fundraising events that they did. So let's remember them, because they're still out there working, serving the communities, and let's remember them. All right, so thank you all very much, and thank you for your attention, and we'll see you at another time. Hopefully in person before too long. Bye. Be safe.